For years, millions of people thought they knew Sarah Ferguson. The scandals, the photographs, the mistakes, the headlines. But while the world was being shown one version of the Duchess of York, another Sarah was quietly walking into hospitals, meeting children facing unimaginable circumstances, and using the very fame that had wounded her to help people nobody was photographing. And there is one part of this story that changes everything. Stay until the end, because you'll discover what Sarah chose to do when her royal fairy tale collapsed, and why that decision reveals more about her than decades of headlines ever could. Because sometimes, the story everyone remembers isn't the real story at all. In 1986, Sarah Ferguson married Prince Andrew. Suddenly, the red-haired young woman known affectionately as Fergie became the Duchess of York. Millions watched. Palaces, royal ceremonies, international attention. From the outside, it looked like the beginning of a fairy tale. But fairy tales become very different when millions of strangers are allowed to judge every chapter. Sarah's appearance was criticized. Her personality was analyzed. Her decisions became headlines. And when her marriage began to fall apart, the scrutiny became relentless. The woman behind the photographs slowly disappeared. The caricature replaced the person, but something was happening away from those cameras. Something the tabloids found far less interesting. Long before social media made celebrity charity fashionable, Sarah was already using her position to support causes involving children. In 1993, she founded Children in Crisis, an organization created to help children affected by poverty and conflict gain access to education. She traveled, she listened, she met families whose problems couldn't be solved with palace privilege. And something changed, because when you're sitting beside a child whose future depends on whether they can attend school, yesterday's newspaper suddenly feels very small. Sarah couldn't erase every mistake she'd made. She couldn't control what people wrote about her, but she could control what she did next. And that became the beginning of a very different story. Her separation and eventual divorce from Prince Andrew could have been the moment Sarah disappeared. Instead, she kept going. There were financial struggles, public controversies, humiliating headlines, moments when her reputation seemed impossible to repair. And Sarah herself has never pretended she was perfect. That's important. Because this isn't a story about pretending the difficult chapters never happen. It's about what someone chooses to do after them. While newspapers continued documenting her failures, Sarah continued supporting charitable causes, children, families, healthcare, education. She discovered that losing the image of the perfect princess had given her something unexpected, the freedom to become something more human. And this is where the promise from the beginning finally makes sense. When Sarah's royal fairy tale collapsed, she didn't simply spend the rest of her life trying to reclaim the spotlight. She kept returning to service. Her work with Children in Crisis continued for decades before the organization merged with Street Child in 2018. She became involved with hospitals and charitable organizations supporting vulnerable children and families. And after experiencing serious health challenges herself, she continued using her public platform to encourage awareness and compassion. Think about that. The same public attention that had once magnified her most painful moments became something she could redirect toward other people's struggles. She couldn't rewrite the headlines, so she chose to write something else, a legacy. Sarah Ferguson's story isn't powerful because she lived perfectly. Quite the opposite. It's powerful because she didn't. She made mistakes. She faced humiliation. She was criticized in front of the entire world. And still, she kept finding reasons to help someone else. Maybe that's the part of her story we rarely hear. Not Duchess Sarah. Not scandalous Sarah. Not the woman frozen forever inside an old newspaper photograph. Just Sarah. A woman who discovered that your worst chapter doesn't have to become your final one. The headlines told us what went wrong. They rarely told us what she did afterward. And perhaps that's why her most meaningful work happened beyond the palace gates and beyond the spotlight. If you want to discover more stories like this, stay with us. Here on See Beyond the Spotlight, we uncover the hidden human side of the people the world thinks it already knows. And now I want to hear from you. Who should we uncover next? Tell us in the comments. Your suggestion could become one of our next documentaries. And come back for the next story, because sometimes the person you think you know has an entirely different story waiting to be discovered. Every legend has a story. We uncover the one the world rarely sees.